All right, welcome. Today we're going to play detective because we're diving into a real economic mystery. Seriously, this is a puzzle that has stumped economists for more than 40 years, and it turns out the solution might be surprisingly simple. I mean, just think about it. What if the answer wasn't some huge, complex shift in the global economy, but was just a case of everybody using the wrong tool for the job? That's the big question at the very heart of what we're looking at today. You know, every good mystery needs a crime scene. And for this story, our crime scene is deep inside the world of monetary policy. So for decades, we're talking the 50s, 60s, 70s, the Federal Reserve had this really trusted guide. It was this stable, predictable connection between how much money was in the economy, what people were earning, and where interest rates were. It was rock solid. You could practically count on it. But then, right around 1980, it just stopped. The connection broke, it vanished, and it left economists pretty much flying blind. And believe me, this was a massive deal. Imagine you're trying to steer a giant ship in a storm, but your compass just broke. That's kind of what it was like for central bankers. They lost a key tool they used to make these incredibly important decisions. And for years, the general agreement was just, well, I guess the economy itself has just changed. It's become fundamentally unpredictable. Now, in any investigation, you've got to start with the usual suspects. And in our case, the prime suspect was the actual tool that everyone was using to measure money in the first place. It's something called simple sum money. And the name really says it all. You just add everything up. $1 in cash, $1 in a checking account, $1 in some savings deposit. They're all just counted as the same thing, one for one. It's like making a fruit salad and saying an apple, a grape, and a whole watermelon are all just three identical fruits, completely ignoring how different they actually are. So when this simple sum measurement suddenly went haywire after 1980, pretty much everyone decided that the economic relationship itself was broken. They blamed the economy, right? Not the ruler they were using to measure it. But what if that was a huge mistake? What if there was a better ruler all along? See, a new piece of evidence, one that was actually developed right when this mystery began, pointed in a totally different direction. This is where something called the Barnett critique comes into play, and it really gets to the core of the problem. An economist named William Barnett argued that, hey, you just can't treat all these different forms of money as perfect substitutes. It doesn't make sense. A dollar bill you can spend right this second is not the same as a dollar sitting in a savings account earning interest. And this brilliant idea leads us to our alternative suspect, division money. Think of it as a much smarter, more sophisticated way to measure. Instead of treating all money as equal, it gives a different weight to each type of money based on its liquidity. You know, how easily you can actually spend it. So cash gets a high weight, a deposit that's harder to get to gets a lower weight. It gives you a way more realistic picture of money's true role. So let's get to the interrogation room. It is time to put our two suspects, the old simple measurement and this new smarter one, to the test. We're going to see how each one does before and after that 1980 breakdown. First up, let's look at the time period before 1980. And what do we see? Well, both measurements seem to work great. Whether you use simple sum or division, that reliable economic connection is there, clear as day. So far, no surprises here. But then came the 1980s. This was a time with a ton of financial deregulation and innovation. All sorts of new bank accounts were being created. The rules of the game were totally changing. And this is the moment where our mystery really kicks off. So what happens now? And here it is. This is the smoking gun. After 1980, the simple sum measurement completely fails. It breaks down. The relationship disappears, just like everyone thought it did. But look at division money. It holds steady. The stable, predictable relationship is still there. It never actually went away at all. So the verdict is in. The case of the missing stability is officially closed. Let's break down what this all means. So the myth that everyone believed for decades was that the economy itself fundamentally changed after 1980, that it just became unstable. But the reality, what this analysis shows, is that the relationship was stable the entire time. The problem was never the economy. It was, as the researchers put it so well, simply a matter of measurement. Let's just recap the key clues that cracked this case wide open. First, that instability everyone was worried about was just an illusion, a ghost created by a measurement error. Second, the old simple sum method just wasn't up to the job anymore once the financial system evolved. Third, the smarter division measurement shows that the stability was actually there all along. And finally, and this is the really big one, it shows just how critical it is to get the measurement right if you want to make good policy. And that brings us to a final, really interesting thought. This was a 40-year-old mystery, a core idea in modern economics that just turned out to be based on a faulty measurement. So it really makes you wonder, right? If we got something this fundamental wrong for so long, what other economic truths are out there that are just waiting for someone to come along with a better ruler?